Hello and welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 287. I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
I'm Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les. It is Tuesday, because we put off recording twice.
Yeah. I've got
February
like
the
a
ninth.
frog in my throat, like this lump right here, plus some other congestion issues going on.
She's
So
super sexy today.
I'm always super sexy. But I took a sick day today, and I'm feeling a lot better. It's amazing how sleeping in like 3 hours can do that from like 5:30 to 8:30. But whatever. This is a knitting show. So, did you
Usually.
introduce yourself or did I just like totally interrupt you?
I don't remember. I'm Leslie. I think I introduced myself.
Okay. Obviously, I wasn't paying attention,
You were waiting for your turn to speak.
which is every turn.
Well, it's definitely going to be now, because I just started this and it's a little
Okay.
tangly. So we're going to
So,
talk
I
about works in
am
progress.
knitting on a ton of stuff, a plethora of stuff,
A
perhaps.
myriad of things.
Ooh, a myriad of things. I like that. Can we name the episode?
Ninth grade honors English. Thank you, Miss Scott.
My in eighth grade we read The Real Jekyll and Hyde
Mm-hmm.
by Robert Louis Stevenson, and there was one word that I will never forget, and it would be jocular, which means jolly, because every time the word jocular appeared, my teacher gave us Jolly Ranchers.
That is a great way.
I will never forget that word. So thanks, Miss Brown. You're the best. She's actually the reason why I like reading. So there you go. It
Yay
only
for
took
her.
till eighth grade. So I am knitting on a myriad of things. This is the first. It is the Love of Spider Shawl by Melanie Berg. It's got three different sections. So there's this slip stitch section towards the top that occurs every, I want to say like 20 rows or so. And then right now I'm in this crazy spider web slip stitch section.
That looks so cool.
It's very cool once you get the hang of it. So this is not a charted pattern, it's just a written pattern. So I was having problems visualizing how
Mm-hmm.
it would line up, but once I got through three repeats, I totally got it. It only took three repeats, so it's an 8 row repeat. So and
Was
you
it like
did twice.
knit, rip, knit, rip, knit kind of three repeats or three solid consecutive repeats?
No, it was like knit, rip, 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 rip some more. Then maybe knit some, then rip some more, and then finally get through to the point where there were three after ripping, and finally that light bulb, which mine's a little bit dim, went off and
It's like
was
that
like,
flickering fluorescent one in
yeah, like,
Joe versus the volcano.
definitely like that you find in the horror movies. And you're like, don't go down to the basement with
Yeah.
that flickering light bulb. That's the kind that exists above my head sometimes. Um, so it finally kind of went off, and I'm getting the hang of it. So I'm on the fourth repeat now. I have two more rows, and then the fourth repeat is done. My friend Jessica and I are racing. I think I'm currently winning, and that is a trend that I want to continue. So I asked Leslie, do you think I can count to three while we podcast? And she was like, no, I do not.
I
So
think
I
you can
need,
count to three and podcast,
but
but I
not
think
necessarily at the same time.
together,
We've played this game before, and
yes,
it
we have
never
both played and
ends.
lost.
So, the yarn used in this is Sunshine yarn. I'm knitting it on size 5 needles. I switched over to wooden needles because the bent needles of the signatures were not working well. So I think these are them. Just yeah, I had bent the tips on my one set of signature needles.
Oh, this is the size that you ordered that my yarn mule has not delivered yet.
Yes,
I
Leslie
didn't
has
realize
the
that
yarn
was the same
needle
size.
to deliver.
Yeah.
So, and like, so Leslie and I both ordered five from Signature because they were having a sale, and she got longer needles and a longer cord, and I got shorter needles and a
Hmm.
shorter cord because that's how we roll. So I better have gotten my shorter
You
needles and my
did.
shorter cord lady. They had free shipping too. So it was like 8% off, which was a hilarious number.
Yeah.
and then
That's a
free
lot
shipping.
for Signature, though. They rarely
Oh,
do
yeah.
sales.
And like I tend not to, if I am buying something that will get me the free shipping, I'm total like because I don't live in Wisconsin where they're made. I don't have to pay in Mississippi, we don't have to pay sales tax on online goods yet. So, as of right now, I'm sure that will change soon. But plus like Maryland has like 9% sales tax when I go to Maryland Sheep and Wool, so it's like
Hmm.
saving an extra 9%. But
Justify,
anyway,
justify, justify.
I know. I need a new set of fives. And those are fixed too, which makes me sad because they don't make the fixed anymore. So I might have to try to find a way to bend those back. We'll see. So this is the first thing. Love of Spiders. It's Melanie Berg pattern. It is living in this super cute
Matching
Charlotte's
bag.
bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, from Annie Light, who is Little Skin in the Big Wool. She's doing it along with this, which luckily lasts through February. So I'm getting there. I have to finish this for February anyways, because this is part of my owl. So I'm on the fourth repeat. Melanie Berg was able to do 9 repeats. No one else has been able to do 9. Everyone else has been able to do 8 with the yarn. So I'm shooting for 8 repeats, and then there's another section at the end. So it's around, I would say, 400 yards now out of the 750 total. Um, so that's pretty cool. That's gonna go over there and hopefully not fall off the needles. What else do I have? Oh, I started so our creative we got a subscription to Creative Bug, which is about to expire. So I was like, I better use this before we lose it because I could pay the $5 to do it, and we probably will. But I
Yeah.
want to actually take one to class and work my way through it. So I'm taking a log cabin baby sweater class, and this is the front, and it's
You just pushed the button.
Siri totally. Siri thought I was talking to her, and my whole screen just filled up. Did I say
Awesome.
Cecilia Rose? Because that's who does it. Maybe that's what made Siri activate. I don't know. Apparently, she thought I said, "Hey Siri." Anyway, so this is a log cabin. This is the front, and then the front's totally done, but you leave it on holders, so I'm just leaving it on the same needles, and then I'm going to grab another set of needles and knit the back. The yarn is hand spun
Mm.
from Southern Cross Fiber. Like I spun it, but the fiber was Southern Cross Fiber Superwash in puppy dog tails, and I had spun it to do a sweater for me, like one of the ones that you did that stripes
The less
throughout.
is more.
Um, what's the name of that sweater?
Less is more.
Yes, a less is more sweater, but I decided it wasn't, this spin was not as consistent with the other spins as I wanted. So I spun 8 ounces of this. So this is the first 4 ounces, and then there's another 4 ounces over here. So I'm probably gonna run out of yarn though, because so this is the front, and you do half of the total diameter as a log cabin and then half for the back, and then there's this cute little thing that comes and then you do sleeves. um but I did not want to do like the newborn size. I wanted to do like a 1 year old size, so I did the 1 year old size, but I'll probably run out of yarn for the sleeves, so I'm going to spin up some like
Something
something else.
similar.
Yeah, something similar for the sleeves. um so that should be good. I think it'll be good. It is for a friend who just had a little baby boy. And so I wanted to do the 1 year old size so he'll fit in it for all next year. I also need to get her address from you because I think you have it. I think it's changed since the SSK that she went to. So, that needs to get done because she just had her baby this week. And in a year, it will need a sweater. But now I'm getting to the point where I make sure I do like 1 year old sizes because you never know when I'm going to finish
Yeah.
something. So this way I've got a year to finish it. So that is the second thing, and that's being knit on size 6 needles. And then the third thing, yes, the third thing are some purple crayon socks. So I started my Desert Vista Dye Work socks for this month using size 0 needles. and it is in the Harold's Purple Crayon colorway. And it's 60 stitches, and I haven't decided what, looks kind of wonky right there. I don't know what happened. I feel like I have a bulge there. I think my gauge just changed. Um, it'll even out when I wash it.
Mm-hmm.
But 60 stitches cast on, 14 on each needle. I'm just gonna go up. I haven't decided on the heel yet. So I'm gonna look through. I have the Laura Neal Craftsy class, but I also have a Laura Neal book, Sock Architecture.
Yep.
So I'm gonna look through both of those, I think. Or I'll do another, I might do a garter heel. I like that one. Anyway, so that is Desert Vista Dye Works, Harold's Purple Crayon, size 0 needles. It is 60 stitches around, 28 total casts on. That's about it. It's in my Sherlock Holmes bag from Tangerine Designs. And that's probably what I should work on. Those are the 3 things that I have on my needles right now. So I also have like a ton of fails. So I had restarted the Rose City Rollers.
Yep.
And I cast on the second one. I was like going to town, and then I held it up next to the original, and it was like an inch smaller. So I've changed the way I tension my yarn since July to try to get a tighter gauge, and it's working. So I ripped all that back out and sloppily wrapped it around the ball. But I need to recast those back on because I'd like for this to be my detention this month, but I might not get to them. But plus I want to wear them because they're happy and pretty. And the other terrible accident I had this week has to do with this shawl that I'm wearing right here. I wore it to work last week since we didn't record this Sunday, and so I have a word wall because we're doing something that requires a word wall, and I was putting up the words on the word wall, and it looks like a huge Pac-Man game.
Mm-hmm.
And the word cards look like they're index cards, but they look like the little white dots that Pac-Man eats.
Yep.
And I was putting them up with hot glue because as a teacher, hot glue on cinder block is the bomb. Like it will not come down very easily, so it stays there for a while. Whereas if you use like masking tape, and I hot glued my entire shawl and myself. So that was fun. I actually had a 6th grader tell me, "Did you know you have hot glue on your butt, Miss Lim?" And I was like, "No, but thank you." How did it like? So my shawl edge got hot glued. I'm gonna show it, and it like kind of smeared up across, but I managed to pick, and I keep finding more every time I look at it. I managed to pick most of it out, but that very edge, you can see it.
Yeah.
It's not coming out there without like some hardcore. I keep picking at it too, which is making the yarn fuzz up.
I was
And
gonna
it's
say, it's just gonna weaken that yarn. You probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
You need something that'll like break down the enzymes, or
But not the enzymes in the wool.
so crowdsource our community of thousands of viewers.
How do you get hot glue off of fabric without like hand knit fabric? But this is my it's a Rose Beck shawl out of Woolmiza, and it's one of my favorite shawls to wear because I can just like toss it around like that and go. I'm also wearing a Christmas shirt today.
You totally are.
From Patchwork Threads because that was what was clean, and when you don't have to go to work, and you're not leaving the house,
Yeah.
what's clean is what sometimes works. So I love my shawl, but now it's got hot glue. What else went terribly wrong for me this week? There were like 4 things. I made this incredibly ugly, terrible baby booty that just got thrown in the trash out of hand spun.
You talked about that last week.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what else has gone terribly wrong. I don't know. Well, I've had more crafting and cooking fails. I made quiche and I did not beat the eggs well enough before adding the milk, and so it didn't quite
Set.
No, it's set, but it looks like I have fried eggs in the middle of it.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. The yolks didn't break up well.
They didn't break up, and like the milk hid the fact that they didn't break up as well as they needed to. and my mixing bowl was otherwise occupied, so I didn't use like a real mixing, like my glass mixing bowl. Otherwise, I would have been able to see. But anyway, I am full of fail, but awesome at the same time. What are you working on? Do you like how I absorbed all that time? Like how much I absorbed a crazy amount
Like
of time
12 minutes, maybe more.
so you could get your stuff done.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm
Um,
giving caring like that and also self-centered.
Not at all. So I didn't have anything that I could work on and record at the same time. I've got two Hohi Locatelli sweaters on the needles.
Oh my goodness, her new shawl.
Yeah,
Gorgeousness.
she came out with a variant of her three-color cashmere cowl, and it's her three-color cashmere shawl, and it's lovely.
Hmm.
Um,
I want to cast it on right now, but I have to finish this first.
well, I've got two of her sweaters on the needles, but they both have charts, and I can't really do that and record at the same time. I've got the other mitten, Fair Isle mitten, but also chart. Can't do that and record at the same time. And I've got a Fair Isle hat from Coop Knits that's been on the needles for like a year, and I haven't touched it. But again, chart. I can't do that and record. So I decided I would just cast on some plain socks because they never really have a timeline. I just knit on those whenever I feel like it,
Yeah.
or when I need a brain break. So I grabbed the closest sock blank to me because I'm very particular in how I choose things. Um,
Hey, but you are when it's like bigger
yeah,
stuff,
when it's
not
a big
socks.
project or something that, um, yeah, like sweaters and stuff, I'm like painfully indecisive.
Agonizingly indecisive.
But I grabbed the Scales Art Extreme Sock Blank. That
How many Gales Art blanks do you have left?
This is my last one, I think.
Yeah,
But we'll see
that's
her
kind
at Maryland, so.
yeah, we totally will see her at Maryland.
Although I'll have to run and make that my first stop if I plan on getting any sock blanks from
I'm
her there.
totally still going to Into the World as my first stop, I
Um,
think. So if you're looking to stalk us, now you know where we'll be.
so I just cast that on, like as we started the show. So I'm only like 6 rows of ribbing in, knitting them on size 1 2.25 millimeter needles, 64 stitches. I'll do ribbing for a couple inches and then move on to stockinette. And I am very interested to see how this stripes because of the color blocks. Gail had posted some shots on
Yeah,
Instagram of a couple, and they turned out really cool. So we'll see. I'm excited about that. But this has only
sure.
got like 20 minutes of work in it. I do have
It's
some
getting there though.
finished things. Let's see. First is this is in one of my Tom Bin bags. I finished the next. Um, sorry, my dogs are going crazy. Log Cabin Square. I used up every bit of the yarn that Sadie spun for me,
Yeah,
and then this little bit
with
is
the red. Yeah,
an alpaca blend that Melissa Keegan Lane. Um, this was a Zen Yarn Garden braid,
oh,
and
pretty.
it's Tussa silk, 50% alpaca, and merino. So it was fine for that little bit, but I don't think that blend is going to
It's
work
gonna have
super
a
well for
lot
squares.
of drape.
Yeah, it's not going to be like it quite as bouncy as the wool that I'm using, so I'm going to use the rest of it for something else, like a
Be
simple
a pretty cow.
shawlette or cowl or something.
Stephen West has like a long, elongated cowl that's got like garter ridges in it.
Yeah,
That would be
the
pretty for
pearl
that. I
garter
did that
ridge
out
or
of,
something.
yeah, I
You,
did that out of handspun.
yeah, I was going to say I remember you knit that years and years ago.
When I was visiting you, I knit that.
So that's the first thing. The next that I finished last night. Um, this is the Crazy Dog yarns in the
Step all over me? Is that?
Step All Over Me colorway. This is what's left. It's self-striping. It's a very beefy fingering weight. Oh, there's those needles. I could have used that.
Don't you
So
love it when you find needles?
I finished both the socks and put them on holders. I feel like I'm very awkward. Like this is the first time I've ever podcasted. Um,
I feel like this might be the 287th time that you've
Yeah,
podcasted. At least.
not counting all the do-overs.
And special episodes.
Yeah. All right, so these were knit on 72 stitches, I think. I just knit a plain. Well, it's the Christy something. It's linked in the show notes. It's the
The
Turtle
Turtle
Girls or
Girl
76.
76.
Yeah, or Turtle
She has
Pearl
a really pretty
76.
pair of socks called Breaking Heart socks that
Mm-hmm.
are gorgeous, and they've got an interesting gusset to them as well.
It was a free pattern. Um,
Hmm.
so they match pretty well. I've got slightly more yellow on one toe than the other, but barely. Like one extra row. Um, it has a simple slip stitch heel, which I did Laura's cheater way of doing that, where you knit all the stitches
That's
on
the
the knit
best.
side and you slip the stitches on the purl side. Well, you slip one, knit one, slip one, knit one, so you purl less often than.
I feel like that's not a cheater way at all. And if it's anyone's cheater way, it's Lucy Neepy's
Well,
cheater way.
you brought it to my attention, so you
We were
get
in that
credit.
class together, I believe.
Yeah, that was like 10 years ago, dude.
Oh my goodness, it totally was not. I did not know you 10 years ago.
We met in 2007,
7.
so 9 years. Sorry. It's got
Hey,
this.
did you know that we were both in our 20s when we started
Shut
podcasting?
up. So it's got this cool double gusset decrease, and it's on the underside, so you don't see the gusset lines on the side by the heel, which is kind of cool. Um, I can't tell you how they wear yet because I haven't soaked and blocked them yet, but that will happen after we record. I liked working with the yarn so much that we've actually placed another order with her.
That's awesome. Hey, is my yarn mule bringing me that yarn?
No, your
It
yarn
has...
mule is bringing you some other stuff. There was limited space when they only brought a backpack. So,
What?
yeah. So anyway, there's that. And then I finished the cross stitch that I was working on for my friend Lemaire, who lives in Lake Tahoe. And I've got it mounted to a piece of board. And it's just, it's by, I want to say Plastic Little Covers. I've got it linked in the show notes.
Oh, that's cute.
But now I have to get it framed, and I'm pretty sure it's custom size. So I'll have to take it to Joann's or whatever and get them to do the custom framing.
Yeah, they always run those 50%
Yeah,
off coupons or
so it
whatever,
doesn't bother
too.
me. And it's actually good that I had already chosen her. Slightly non-knitting related rant here, but so my team at work
Uh-huh.
is 6 people. There's myself and a lady named Kay who lives here in Atlantic City. There's Lemaire who lives in Lake Tahoe. There's Shanice who lives in Baltimore.
I feel like of all those places, like Lake Tahoe would be the place to live.
Yeah. And then there's 2 in Vegas, John and Linda. So there's, and we're actually down 2 people. So our team is very small. It's already overworked. Everybody is, right? But I took a day off on Friday so that I could hang out with our friend who was in town. And we're walking through IKEA, and I get a text from Lemaire, the person who I made that cross stitch for, and she was like, dude, you are not going to believe this. So our 2 Vegas people on the team quit on Friday. Well, they put in their notice. They've still got 2 weeks, but
Why do they quit
they,
together?
well, no, they're going to 2 different departments, but it just timing just happened to have them both. Because first of
Did
the
you get
year
your on
allows for people
your
to post new jobs, and so they
okay, yeah.
transferred out.
Did you get your on-call schedule yet?
Oh, I did, but now it's totally
Now it's
shot to crap
totally
because we have to redo it with fewer people, so that's going to be awesome.
ugh.
So, anyhow, I put in my PTO for SSK and Maryland Sheep and Wool. Those are the only things I can guarantee I'll be at this year.
Ugh.
So, that's
So
pretty much my
cursed.
crafting. I have some spinning that I was doing upstairs while the boys were watching stupid internet videos. But it's still one bobbin. Like I haven't finished the bobbin, so
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna take it off. So I'll show you guys that next week.
Cool. I have been I spent the Super Bowl spinning some wool pierogi roll eggs for Eloise. I'm really hoping to get those. I'm like halfway through. But they have a silk content, so they're getting spun really thin.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll get chain plied. So, but they're all going on one bob. And if you're interested in seeing a picture of those, I did post a picture Sunday night to Instagram, and I can post a picture. I'll try to put one in a work in progress project on Ravelry as well. Um, I haven't touched the Into the Worlds that's on the Lendrum. It just hasn't been a priority. But I did ply the singles of the Hello Yarn Cordale. I didn't get a ton of yardage because my bobbins were super uneven. This was the bobbin that like broke and then the end got wrapped in the middle during Spinzilla.
I
And I
totally
just
love that. That's so
wasn't
pretty.
gonna deal with it. I think you have a bag of this actually.
It's so pretty.
I definitely think you have this in your stash.
What is it?
It's Hello Yarn,
Yeah, but what is
Hidden
it?
Thicket.
Oh yeah, I have Hidden Thicket.
So I actually have two bags. So this is the first. Then I was tempted to spin up the second bag with a new fiber club that she just released that was also Cordale and also had greens in it. But I think after seeing this that I'm going to just spin it up on its own and then just two ply. So this is a two ply of Cordale and it's soft and squishy and I think it's going to become that like cowl that starts as a shawl. Do you know what I'm talking about? Lynn's knitting one right now, and Amy Beth knit one. I can't remember
I'm
the
like
name of
three
it.
months behind on Amy Beth, so
Um, she knit it before Rhinebeck, I believe, or right towards that time. Anyway, let me see if I have it in my phone because that's going to continually bother me. But it is really, really pretty. It's only 200 and what did I say, 60 yards? 236 yards. And I feel like it's 260. I might have written in there wrong. I have it written down on a tag actually in the other room on a Hello Yarn tag. Let's see. Foolproof is the name of the cow. And it looks like and Hello Yarn did some absolutely gorgeous ones. But it kind of
oh yeah, it's got in like an alternate.
yeah, I'm turning down. Can you see it really well now?
Yes.
Awesome. I totally learned how to turn my screen down or off. So really, really pretty. I think it's gonna become that since I do have 8 ounces of it. And it was spun kind of woolen, like a modified woolen, so it's nice and lofty. So I need to remember to do that on the second braid. But and it was spun on my sidekick, applied on the mini spinner. I have something else that I just started on the sidekick. I am spinning some sock yarn for Amy Beth out of some Moon Rover fiber, which I'm really enjoying. And I'm spinning it as I watch Murder, She Wrote because I think Amy Beth and I think Murder, She Wrote. So I'm enjoying it. And let me tell you that Jessica, she was like the bomb. She's a congresswoman in this last one. She does it all. The one before, she was like an amusement park person. But it's like Nancy Drew. Like, how many occupations
Yeah.
could Nancy Drew really have? But I've really enjoyed spinning the Cordale, and I'm enjoying spinning the stuff for Amy Beth. It's really lovely. It's a superwash merino nylon blend, so it's spinning really, really thin. We have a book to review, and it's an
Yes.
awesome book. It's Henry's Hat. It's by Eric and Joanna
Mm-hmm.
Johnson. If their name sounds familiar, they've collaborated on 3 picture books before. Phoebe's Sweater, which I think is my favorite. Freddie's Blanket, which is the only one I don't have. Phoebe, and then Phoebe's Birthday. And then she also did Green Gable Knits,
Yeah,
but
that's
she
what I
also
thought.
does a ton of stuff for Interweave as
Yeah.
well. And she's local to Linzim, so she teaches at the Loopy U. So if the Loopy U is like your LYS, she teaches there sometimes. So that's pretty cool. They have their own publishing company called Slate Falls Press. This book retails for $20 in the US, and it was sent to us for review
Mm-hmm.
because I am shameless on Instagram about begging for books from people.
I love the artwork in here.
Her husband Eric does all the artwork,
Look
and
at that
he's got
grumpy
his own
little chipmunk.
Instagram.
He makes me so happy.
So it's about Henry Chipmunk, and he wears this imagination hat.
Mm-hmm.
So, which reminds me of Genevieve of the Knitmore Girls.
Yeah.
Like I could totally see her having a hat, her Olivia hat, perhaps, and that's her imagination hat. And you never quite know who Henry was pretending to be when he wore his green hat. So, and there's thrown in throughout this entire book, and this is a kid's book, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
there's these illustrations that have gorgeous knit and crochet work. So they're building like a blanket fort out of a granny square
Yeah,
blanket.
and then you've got Mama Chipmunk and the Blackbird knitting and spinning.
Yep. So the family goes to prepare for the winter, and it's summer at this point, and they are picking elderberries. And while they're picking elderberries, something tragic happens, and Henry loses his hat,
Oh no.
and then he has to go on a search to find, like, he realizes it later. I love this fat chipmunk face.
I
Oh my
know.
goodness, so cute. So he has to go, and once he realizes he misses it, he has to be like a detective and look for clues about where his hat is.
Look, it's got otters.
And the otters have used the hat as nets, and the moles have used the hats as
Like
like to
collection
gather
baskets.
stuff in, and the flying squirrels have used hats, and the raccoons have used the hat, and it turns out that the hat has become unraveled and part of a nest. But my favorite illustration in the whole thing is at Thanksgiving when they all sit down. You can see Mama's wearing
A
an
shawl.
Ishbel,
Yeah.
and everyone is wearing hand knits. And there's a lone grasshopper outside the window in the snow just chilling.
What I love, and it's these little things that you don't think about, is the picture on the wall is of humans.
Yes, yes.
So they're having their chipmunk Thanksgiving or whatever, and then there's this
Uh-huh.
random picture of a human family.
Yep. And his Aunt Violet makes him a new hat. And he's wearing a sweater that reminds me so much of the Weasley sweaters, and they
Mm-hmm.
play some football. But that sweater reminds me so much of the Weasley sweaters. And like all her books, in the back, there's patterns
Yep.
for some of the items in the book. So there's Henry's hat,
Mm-hmm.
and I love the fact that there's like a boy, like on a boy and on a girl.
Mm-hmm.
Like that makes me super happy. There's Henry's letter sweater, the same.
Yep, and it's sized from a child to a 2-year-old child size to a 12-year-old child size.
Yep. And
And she's got charts
she's
for
got
all
all
the
the charts
letters.
for all the letters. And then there's Henry Chipmunk, who is adorable, but the best part about him is his tail. Did you see that tail detail? How cute is
I
that?
did not. That is adorable.
Super cute. So it's a great book with some patterns. It would definitely be one that you could read aloud with your kids. And the husband, Eric, actually has a craftsy class on picture book illustration,
Oh, that's really
which is
cool.
super cool. So it's one of, I guess this is, yeah, the fourth book in the series
Hmm.
now, and also the Green Gables knits. Joanna does a great job. She's very detail oriented, and it's just a sweet, sweet book.
It is. And the
So,
illustrations are beautiful.
oh, absolutely gorgeous. I think Phoebe's sweater is still my favorite, but it's a great one as well. So that is
Henry's
Henry's
hat.
Hats, and it retails for 19.95, and it was published the day before Christmas.
Oh.
So, yeah, and it's just a great collaboration.
Yeah, it is a good way. I can see a lot of what determines children's interest is what they're exposed to. I mean, they can't
Yeah,
really be interested in things they don't know anything about, and I think exposure to hand knits in a fun and relatable way like that is a great way to get them introduced to it without it being the stigma of, oh, my mom made this.
that's a good one. And so's Alana Dacos's Annie's Swiss cheese sweater is
Hmm.
another really good book as well. I don't own a copy of that. I gave one to the nieces when they were much smaller. Um, Alice has to have her tonsils out this week, so but she told my sister-in-law, because this is so typical of my youngest niece, who's 4, that if the doctor tried to take her tonsils, she was gonna bite him.
It's a good plan. Solid.
So she's getting her tonsils out on Friday, and Mom and Wheezy are going up, and they're leaving tomorrow and spending a good part of a week up there.
Cool.
So that'll be fun. Um, so we have a question from Kimbuktu, which is an
Love that
awesome
name.
name, like Timbuktu, but
Mm-hmm.
it's Kimbuktu. I really enjoyed knitting the Fish Lips Kiss heel, but find it pops off my heel when wearing the finished socks. My husband thinks that means that it should be deeper, which I think translates into adding more stitches to my sock. The rest of the sock fits fine with the numbers of stitches I'm using. What do you think? I'm a relatively new sock knitter and would love some input. I can go back to using the standard heel flap, but just wondered if there is a simple fix for this. So you've knit a lot more
Yes.
fish kips.
Fish lips kiss heel.
There you go. Which is a short row heel. And
Yes.
we've kind of talked about this a little bit when we talked about the garter heel
Yeah, so
being
this is a
worked
heel
over
that
more
was
stitches.
it's a $1 pattern out on Ravelry. It's by the Socks Therapist, I think.
Hmm.
Uh, and it's full on with video and picture tutorials. And you can sub it in for almost any heel, especially short
It's
row heels.
really
It's
good
easiest.
for, yeah, it's a short row heel. So if it's an easy short row
Mm-hmm.
heel with lots of support.
Yes.
So if you're looking to do your first short row heel, it's a really good one to do.
So I will say that I've had the same problem. Um, and primarily, I believe the problem is with because of how I measure or how much I set aside for a heel. So it's not as bad if I'm knitting top down versus if I'm knitting toe up. It depends on how much I allot for the heel. So most heels I allot 2.5 inches, between 2.25 and 2.5 inches for a heel. And I find that I don't know if it's my row gauge or the way I tension my yarn or what have you, is that that heel doesn't take that much for me. That heel takes like 1 3/4 inches, and because of that, the sock ends up slightly shorter. And because it ends up slightly shorter, the heel pops off and pops under my heel.
Hmm. So
Um,
how would you fix that? I have a suggestion, but
I would
how do
add more rows between the toe and the heel.
mm.
I would start with something small, like 3 or 4 rows, and adjust as necessary. That's just I haven't
So
tested
you
that
would change the depth of the foot of your sock.
to better accommodate the lack of depth with that heel for me personally. I am not a heel like guru, so this is not me saying anything against that heel, but I just find for me, short row heels in general, they aren't as deep as most patterns say your heels will be. And again, that could just be my gauge.
So it's definitely something to do with gauge. Would it, so if you worked it over, so typically heels are worked over 50% of your stitches.
Mm-hmm.
If you worked it over a greater percent of the stitches, you would be adding depth, correct? Because you would be working more
Because you
short
would
rows.
require more rows, yes, so it could
Hmm.
make it deeper that way as
So you
well.
could do it deeper that way. And that way you're not changing your stitch count of your overall sock. You're just switching positions of stitches probably on your needles and just working
Yeah.
it over a greater number than 50%. So
And in
that's what
order
I
to
would do.
accommodate that for Fish Lips Kiss heel, I think it's been several months since I've done one, but I think that it allow it like it you split it into thirds.
Uh-huh.
So you've got like say your heel stitches are like 32, you would have roughly 11 on each side and 10 in the middle.
Uh-huh.
You would just leave fewer stitches in the middle
Yeah.
so that as you work more rows.
When I was taught to knit short row heels, I was taught that your middle should be around like an inch, like your unworked stitches, but it was a totally different type of short row heel.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a difference as well. But you could always work more stitches too, work in more.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of trial and error, and with everybody doing different gauge, different stitch counts, different um,
Yeah.
different everything. I think that there's no way to say that for sure without you just doing some tests, which is painful and boring in my opinion. But I would just try it with a couple different socks. Maybe do one like Laura suggests on your next pair. Do it where you work more of the stitches before you start during your increase
And you can do a
out.
combination of things too. Like you could do what Leslie said and make your foot length a little bit longer
Yeah, but I would
and
worry
work
about
it over
introducing
later.
too many variables in there because then you're not sure which one worked. Anyhow, hopefully some of that helped, but really you just have to test it out and figure out what works for you.
And if anyone else has some
Yeah,
good input to chime in, please chime in the episode
because
thread.
we are certainly not the standalone experts on this.
No, we are not experts of any kind. You are reading one of my three of my favorite books.
Am I?
Three. You are.
So I am reading Clean Sweep by Alana Andrews. I read that in less than 24 hours. I really dug
It's
it.
short. The third one's up on her blog now,
Oh,
FYI.
okay.
So if you want to read the start of the third one, she posts those are both posted as serials on her blog, and then
Yeah.
they edit them a little bit and put them up on Kindle for like $1.99 or something. But you can
So
read them for free on the blog,
I read Clean Sweep and I'm reading Sweep in Peace.
which is the
Um,
second one.
it's these are both by Alana Andrews, who wrote the Kate Daniels series, as well as several other. Well, it's a husband and wife team. Several
Mm-hmm.
others. I just really like her style. She does fantasy and paranormal in a very modern and approachable way without it being too teeny bopper.
Without a sense of with a sense of humor.
Right.
And there's
Um,
always knitting because she's a knitter. So
because,
every little bit, like every once in a while, there'll
yeah,
be some kind of thing thrown in there.
um, I really like the paranormal and fantasy genre, but I have I would appreciate it very much if I was a teenager right now, I feel, because every book is about high school seniors or college kids doing, crazy, coming of age stuff. And, I
I
can,
feel like there's more YA put, especially in Kindle Unlimited
yeah.
than place else.
And I can read those books, but I don't like to read a lot of them in a row because I just don't find it as enjoyable. So, anyway, I read those two. Well, I'm reading the second one. I am listening to Six of Crows.
Six of Crows is amazing.
I'm listening to that on Audible.
I would say that's the best YA fantasy that I've read this year.
Cool. Well, I'm only like 3 hours into it, so I'm only just now sort of meeting all the characters. Um,
There's a plethora of characters in that book.
and yeah, I like it so far. I'm reading Sweep in Peace at home on my tablet. I'm listening to Six of Crows in the car to and from work, and then I'm reading it's new to me, a book called Illuminae by Amy Kaufman, who I really liked her series that was, I guess you'd call it science fiction because there was space travel. So far, it's a trilogy. These Broken Stars, These Shattered Something, and something else. Which was, yeah, sort of science fiction, but very peripherally so. I like her books a lot, so I'm I've got a lot of things going on that I like right now, so it makes me not want to knit and just
Good.
read.
The woman who did Six of Crows wrote a trilogy that kind of predates that a little bit, same world, different characters.
Hmm.
So if you like Six of Crows, I definitely would check out
Okay.
those other ones.
Does it explain the whole hatred between the two characters in Six of Crows, the Grisha
No.
and okay,
Mm-mm. It goes more into the magic users,
okay,
in a different kind of like in a war that's happening. But if you like the way she writes,
okay.
and I like her, she's got twists. I would say that Six of Crows is definitely more upper YA than lower YA, just because they do go into a brothel and there is
Oh yeah,
some like white slavery type issues and
indenture servants and
yes, so it's more like the 15, 16-year-old range, 14, 15, 16-year-old range. Although my eighth graders have been enjoying it. I would say eighth grade, which is like the 13, 14-year-old range, is probably as low as I would go with that one. Unless you're going to have serious conversations with your children about white slavery and prostitution.
And
So
regardless, you should talk to your kids about what they read
yeah,
because it
that's
fosters
super
conversation.
true.
So,
Oh yeah, super true. Um, so I'm still listening to Charlie. I haven't been really listening to anything. I have Davidson on there, but I really haven't listened to much this week. I finished reading The Clockwork Scarab, and now I'm on the second one in that series. It's by Colleen Gleason. I like the idea of the main characters. It's YA. Again, like 14, 15-year-old range, and the main characters are Enola Holmes, which is Mycroft Holmes' daughter, who is Sherlock Holmes' brother, so she's the niece of Sherlock Holmes, and then Bram Stoker's sister.
wow.
And so it's told in alternating viewpoints, and it's like a steampunk Victorian society, all those things that would like check off all my boxes of awesome books, like literary illusions and steampunk and, you know, that kind of society. And then they threw in time travel.
I'm very anti time travel in general, yeah.
But like I'm not super I'm anti-time travel. And my kids and I had like this in-depth discussion about why I hate time travel and they're like, "Well, but Miss Linneman, there could be this paradoxal like blah 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 blah
Hmm.
blah." And I'm just like, "Okay, you've been watching Doctor Who,
Yeah.
and that's fine." And I'm totally on board with you watching Doctor Who. I still hate time travel.
I
Like,
just feel like you can use it to explain anything, and I hate that.
well, and that's the thing. Like, okay, so it's these two awesome main characters, and they're actually hired by Irene Adler,
Ah.
um, to help to work for the Queen, and they're teenagers, and they happen to stumble across this boy who's traveled from like 20th century Chicago back, and he happens to have an iPhone that works sometimes when he's standing certain ways, and they manage to, even though like electricity has been outlawed because steam rules all, they manage to find electricity to charge it. And I'm just like, and then also the battery on his iPhone lasts like 3 weeks.
I call bull.
I'm like, my iPhone battery barely lasts a day, maybe. um so it is, the second one is about spiritualism, the first one is Egyptian cult type thing. They're entertaining. I'm really reading them because I really want to read the second in the Mickey Boilter series by Harlan Coben. I read Shelter, and there's Found's the third one. I can't. Seconds Away is the second one, and one of my kids has it and refuses to return it. And actually, I was kind of mean the other day. He came down and he's like, "Miss Linneman, I want to use your computers." And I was like, "Not until you return that book."
Oh, nice.
And then I let him get on. But I was like, "You're going to start losing privileges until," and it's, in my defense, it is 4 weeks overdue. So it's irritating to me because I want to read it and he needs to return it. I am the type of librarian where if I'm reading a series and I want to read the next one, I look up who has it.
And then you
I'm
hound
like,
them.
and then I'm like, "Are you done with it yet? When will you be done with it?" But it's interesting. Like I'll go and I'll do it in the cafeteria, and then the kids are like, "Ooh, what book was that? I
Yeah.
want to read it too." So it opens a whole nother discussion. But in a serious side, I want that book, and he needs to get it back. I also read an interesting nonfiction book called Forgotten Bones: Uncovering a Slave Cemetery. It is nonfiction. It's a very short read. I read it in less than an hour. It is about a lot of what is the word? Oh, totally blanked. When you're archaeology, so it's bioarchaeology. So it's looking. They were putting a new like pipe in sewer line, and they stumbled across a slave cemetery in upstate New York. So it was interesting from their perspectives because it's interesting because they can look at DNA
Hmm.
now and determine like, oh, like um this slave had a mixture of African but also Native American ancestry. But also they can tell by like the way that their teeth were filed, when if they came directly from Africa, if they were a teenager in Africa because of different tribal
Hmm.
customs. So it's looking at, yes, they do facial reconstruction and also comparing that cemetery, which was a farm in upstate New York, to the bigger slave cemeteries that they've stumbled across in like New York City area, compared to, and how those slaves lived, because they can tell by the amount of stress
Mm-hmm.
fractures and stuff like that compared to slaves in the South. So it goes into how we discover how people lived based on their bones. So it was interesting. It's got a lot. It's very heavy in the biosciences, as well as history. I'm definitely a history person. I am not a science person. So it was great to recommend to my history and science teachers in the eighth grade. They can do kind of a mini unit combined,
Yeah.
the two. So, because eighth grade history is U.S. history, and they do a lot of archaeology in there as well. And eighth grade science does a lot of DNA. So it was an interesting read. They're gonna do take some excerpts and use that next year for their units. So that was good. Definitely one that prompts discussion for sure.
I'm not
And it
going to
also
go into
goes
the
into
conversation
historical.
of how I'm sure edited the U.S. history textbooks are, especially for our Mississippi students, on life in the South in the 17th and 18th century and slavery and
Well, the textbooks we use, to be honest with you, in my school are outdated anyways because there's been such a stress on tested subject areas and buying textbooks for those areas that the non-tested subject areas, like history, they make do with the books that are older, but our teachers bring in a lot of things like the book that I was just referencing, a lot of outside resources to help supplement that. So, but yeah, it's interesting. I miss teaching history, but I very much enjoy being a librarian. So I don't know that I could do both. Although teaching US history was probably my favorite thing to teach. Anyway, so favorite things coming up. I have two classes going on at String Theory in March, which is super cool. String Theory is a shop outside of Chicago, Illinois. I will be teaching there Saturday, March 5th, and Sunday, March 6th. I will be teaching a spindling class. And Wool Pierogi will have a trunk show going on at the same time, which is super exciting. My birthday month is going to spoil me for the whole entire year because the first week in March, I'm going to String Theory. I'm going to see tons of awesome people there that I really enjoy, like Babs and Becca, and like the whole Chicago area is so much fun. And I'm teaching one of my favorite classes, which is the Know Your Yarn class, which
mm-hmm.
is just so awesome. One of my favorites. So, and I took off Friday. I used my paid leave time to take off Friday. So that Friday, I'm actually flying in Thursday night. And Renee will be flying through Chicago, and we're going to miss each other by like 2 hours. Because she's flying to see Leslie in Philly.
well, not to see
Um,
me, but I
but
will
she's
see
going
her.
to see you. She's going for her anniversary trip.
Yeah.
And then we are going to Oregon sometime in March.
Yep.
And so I get to see Leslie and Michael and Kobe, which will be totally fun.
He'll be as tall as you by then, probably.
Yes, maybe, probably. And then the next weekend is Easter, and my parents might come visit me, which is will be super fun. It might make up in Humberto's mind for all my travel. And then the following week is my birthday, and DFW's that weekend.
Yeah.
So I get to see Renee.
So you're gonna be
So
broke, basically.
yeah, I'm gonna be so broke. But I'm gonna have such a good time.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna be so much fun. March is gonna be amazing. And then I'm gonna have testing at work for the next 2 months. And I'll be like, what is happening? It's weird that Easter's early. Oh, and today is King Cake Day, Mardi Gras.
Fat Tuesday.
At Tuesday.
Copy was born on a Fat Tuesday,
Was he?
but it was in March.
That's true. My birthday sometimes falls on Easter. My 21st birthday fell on Easter. It was not so much fun. Anyway, so I have string theory coming up, which is gonna be awesome. Then DFW, which is gonna be also awesome. We have a code. We have two coupon codes. One is for Creative Bug, which is use the code KnitGirls with three L's, all capitalized, for a free 30-day trial.
Mm-hmm.
And then the lovely people at Gleaner contacted me and said that they will give anyone 10% off that orders on their website from
Oh,
this
cool.
point until I think it was April. I'll have to go double check. But the code for that is in the show notes, and it's KnitGirls10, all capital. So that's super cool too. So if you're looking or thinking about getting a Gleaner after we talked about them a couple weeks ago, there's 10% off for you. We do have a giveaway to do, which is closely knit. Hey, Neelix.
Yeah, he's decided to come and hang out with everybody.
Umberto's sleeping somewhere.
Yes, so we have a giveaway. This is for a copy of Closely
Oh, the
Knit.
Gleaner is good until April 30th. I had it up actually.
So we're doing a giveaway for Closely Knit, which is a book
Yes.
written by Linda Hart about a knitting group in San Francisco, I think, in California somewhere, and all the members of it and how they met and their first
Yeah,
projects and that sort of thing.
their stories. Yeah, it's a great book.
Um,
We have 118 entries.
I've got 45 pages open on my phone browser. We have how many entries?
Oh, hold on. Sherbert just messed up.
Uh-oh.
Rav just went
118. I can see it from here.
118, yes.
Okay. So it's between 2 and 118.
And I loved reading these. These were very
yeah,
cool.
it
This
was
was good
cool. It was
prompts.
very relatable. Okay, so the winner is number 73, and that's going to be on the third page. And our prompt was, who is your knitting hero and why? And there was a lot of really heartwarming stories in here.
Some good ones. Oh, it's Astronaut.
Oh, cool.
Astronaut, who's from Virginia. Oh, I'm definitely inspired by my sister and my friends Tinky Geek.
Astronaut.
Oh, is it astronaut? Why did I say astronaut? Because
Everything's about knitting.
it is.
You said that, and I pictured this scary bird in my head, and then I browsed down, and that's her avatar, is a scary
Yeah,
bird.
it's a scary bird.
It looks like a Skeksis from the Dark Crystal.
Yes.
That's a
Anyway,
movie from the
her
80s.
friends Tinky Geek and Sci-Fi Fan, Sci-Fi Fan, who are all awesome knitters with their own styles. They really open my eyes and teach me new things.
I don't think
There
I've met
you go.
Sci-Fi Fan, but I have met Teen Geek, and she's pretty awesome.
Yes, she is wonderful. I feel like we've met Astronaut too, but I might be making that up.
Maybe at a festival. It's hard for me to remember folks from the festivals just because it all happens so fast.
I feel like at Maryland or something.
Yes.
I don't know.
Well, Astronaut, why don't you private message Laura and give her your address, and
Yep.
she will get that out in the mail to you.
Yep, for sure. What else do we have to talk about? Creative Bug. We have a Craft All the Things, new technique cats going on.
Mm-hmm.
You can use any craft. We're asking you to do is try a new technique.
Mm-hmm.
It runs from January 1st until March 31st. We have 3 prizes. Those are some hobbledehoy batlings, which if you don't spin and you win, I will bite the bullet and spin for you
You're so nice.
because they are so lovely.
They are.
And those are Magical Realism is the name of the colorway, and it's superwash merino wool and silk, 2 ounces of those. They're gorgeous. We have a skein of yarn. My whole chair just went. A skein of yarn from Ponky, who is another crafty girl, in the business time colorway, which is also really, really pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have a skein of yarn from Red Umbrella.
Yeah.
And she has a sale going on right now, too. I
Yeah.
saw it in the Pimp Yourself thread in the Sangria colorway. And then I have something else, but I don't have it with me. Gelby sent me some Flock Lock
Oh, cool.
as well.
Yeah.
She sent me a very cool Jack one like Jack from the Pumpkin
Skellington.
King.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have some, like she sent it for me, but I have some of her other ones that I haven't even touched that I bought that I am going to
Trade out.
and give to one of you.
Cool.
So, because I think I'm up to like 7 flock locks now. And also, she's doing kissing sheep for Valentine's Day.
Aww.
And I kind of want a kissing. She doesn't do kissing sheep very often anymore.
You do
So I
kind of
kind
have the hookup, though. I'm sure that you could make that happen.
but she doesn't, she hates doing, is it right facing or left facing sheep? There's one kind of sheep she doesn't like doing, so she doesn't do kissing sheep very
Mm.
often anymore. Because they're not as perfect, because she's a perfectionist, if we're going to be
Well,
honest.
all of her stuff is lovely. I bought a pendant necklace from her like 6 years ago, and it's still hanging up in my car, and I look at it every day. It's so pretty.
She's got some really cool stuff. I love her. I love her. She made me this tin a couple years ago that's got a book sheep
Book.
on it. So it must be that sheep's facing left. So it must be
Must
right
be the right
facing.
facing sheep that she dislikes.
And then I have quite a few of her things.
The Jane hat. The
Yes.
firefly.
Yep. There's a ton of stuff. And then she does stitch markers too. She did SSK once.
Yep. So,
So anyway,
we want to thank our Patreon supporters, regardless of dollar amount. We very much appreciate you supporting our show. It helps to pay for postage and sometimes prizes and travel to Oregon, where we're looking at a new, additional, smaller retreat.
yep.
More details to come on that once we've actually had time to check things out. And Laura wants to do another one of our live podcasts.
Which is open to everyone.
Mm-hmm. And that's going to be next Friday, the 19th. Yes, the 19th. We'll say 8 Eastern. Did that work for you last time?
That worked for me fine.
Okay, so that's 7 Central, 6
Mountain.
Mountain, 5 Pacific. And it'll probably go for a couple hours. That's what it did last time. And we're going to do a theme with this one. The last one was the first time we'd ever done it, and it was just sort of haphazard, and we chatted and answered questions and stuff. But I think this one, Laura wants to do sort of a theme. Do you want to talk about it?
Sure. So we're going to talk about, after wearing some knits for a while, what our favorite knits are to wear, that get worn the most, that are the most comfortable to wear. We're going to discuss what successes we've had knitting.
Why we
Um,
like the things that we like.
yeah.
And
And we want some crowd participation as well. So feel free to bring some of your stuff.
so the software that we use will allow you to sign up. I'll put a link in the show notes. Will allow you to sign up for notifications 15 minutes ahead of when the event starts. And we can have tons of people on. We can only have 10 people on camera at a time, which is fine, because we can cycle through and give people turns and everything. We would
Yeah.
like Laura mentioned, crowd participation, so we would like some people who are willing to be on camera and talk about their knits and why they like them and etc. All that. All you need is a computer with internet connection. It's best if you have earbuds or some way to plug in. It reduces echo. It just makes it life easier for everybody.
Yeah.
A webcam, of course, if you want to be on the visual end of it. A webcam. If you don't, then you don't need the webcam. You can just, there's a live chat that happens. And you can ask questions there that you don't have to be on camera to do. You can participate in the discussion that way. So we're going to do that again. Like I said, it'll be on the 19th of February at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's all I got. You have anything else?
Okay. That's it for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well, time for post-production, and I've got a bunch of research to do for Oregon. So we hope that you have a lovely week, and we'll talk to you again on Valentine's Day. Bye, y'all.
Ooh, bye y'all.